You're listening to Two Guys Talking Wine with Michael Pinkus and Andre Prue.
Two Guys Talking Wine is brought to you by...
No one.
That's not true. It's brought to you by listeners like you.
Oh.
Visit patreon.com/Two Guys Talking Wine to help support us.
Look at you. That's like new.
Michael.
You're wearing glasses today, too.
Yeah, I got yelled at by an optometrist for how much I was wearing my contact lenses.
Uh-oh.
And apparently if you wear your contact lenses too much, you could go blind. And that's something no optometrist has told me before, so I'm pulling back on it.
I heard you could do damage to your eyes. I had heard that.
Yeah.
But I don't wear contacts, but I had heard that from people.
I guess diving right in, what have you got?
Okay,
you walked into my house.
Yeah.
You went straight to my bucket of corkscrews. You
Yep.
opened up this bottle of wine with
Yep.
a cool label. I haven't had a chance to see it, but it's my style label. A lot of white space and a lot of thin lines. And you jammed this glass in my hand and said, "Here, what is it?"
So, well, first of all, what do you think of it? And what do you think it is? Let's start there.
The nose is interesting.
The nose
it's
is
both
very interesting.
ripe cherry, dried cherry, potpourri. It's it smells like it's got nice acid. Like it doesn't smell like it's dripping with juicy.
You know, the acids are definitely there.
It smells older.
Yeah. It's also just got mouth-ripping tannins to it, too. Like, there's a lot of tannin. I may have just committed infanticide, and I had held on to it so that I didn't.
You know, this is why I'm looking forward to unpacking this, because it's already started to move into secondary flavors. We know where I dig my wines, like we've said, when the tannin starts to fall off, but the fruit's still fresh. And this is starting to move into, like, Mushroomville on the back palate with still quite a bit of fruit on it. The tannin isn't unpleasant. It's not rip your face off.
Well, it's pretty big, though, still.
It is. No, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. It's just, to the infanticide comment, I don't know if that tannin's going to soften much more while the fruit's holding on.
Well, I think that it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, say, over the course of the evening.
Yes.
The listeners are not going to be with us for that, but I'll tell you what it is, Andre.
I'm guessing it's Italian, based on what we've done over the past few weeks.
It is Italian, and it is a Montefalco Sagrantino.
Oh, I know Montefalco a little bit.
This is a 2009. We've talked about Sagrantino before, how it needs a lot of time.
This is a 17-year-old wine.
This is a 17-year-old wine. How I ended up getting it's from Tenuta del Cerro, and they also have a property in Montefalco called Colpetrano. I think that's what it is. But this is from Tenuta Cerro, and it's another line altogether. Now they have, besides us drinking their wine, they have very little to do with this podcast, because I wanted to show you an older version of Sagrantino.
Okay.
Before we dive into what I'm going to be talking about today, as you know, I have gone to Montefalco, Umbria, the last 4 or 5 years, and watched the changing face of this Umbrian wine. And one of the things I noticed is the place has a youth movement happening, and that's pretty exciting. And it also has a woman's youth movement, which I find even more exciting, because, you know, women are coming into a primarily male-dominated profession, especially in Italy.
Yeah.
So when people think Italy, I'm sure you picture some old guy in his kitchen serving up wine in those little juice glasses. Well, those are romantic days, but they are slowly disappearing. On my last trip to Montefalco, I got a chance to talk to 5 members of this new generation from 3 different wineries.
I'm Alice, and I'm in charge of sales.
I am Chiara, and I try to manage all the things in the office, administrative things, and marketing and communication.
And when did you guys take over the winery from your father?
In 2016.
I'm Letizia. I work at Tenuta di Saragano Winery, and I do wine tastings there, and I'm the manager, let's say, and also expert manager.
My name is Guglielmo Pongelli. It's our family. It's our family winery since the date is from since 1921, but we've been making wine since even before that. And I'm more responsible into the vineyards of Tenuta di Saragano.
Yes, I'm Ilaria Cocco. I'm the owner of Ilaria Cocco Winery. It is really a small winery in Montefalco. I have just 3 hectares and a half.
So this was all recorded during a dinner, and while I was talking to Ilaria, the band started up. So I was really happy about that. Anyway, in case you missed it, the 3 wineries are Cesarini Sartori, Cocco Montefalco, and Tenuta Saragano. And the interesting part is that they all came back. All these people came back to help the family or took over a winery. And really, since I have been there, it really started with Ilaria Cocco, I think. For a while, she was the youngest winemaker in the area.
I come back. I leave the territory when I was young for university and then for work. But I had the idea of come back to give my impression of my territory, my style in my territory. I wanted to communicate my place, and so I come back and try to make it.
And when you came back, did you see yourself as the start of a younger generation, or that did never cross your mind?
Never. I just wanted to try to make something by myself, something that I never done. I had to learn how to make winemaking, have to learn a lot of things about wine. It was the memory of my grandparents, the memory of my Sunday time spending with my parents, doing wine, bottled wine, just staying with them in the countryside. I start with winery in 2008, but the first bottle comes out in 2018.
So she's been there about 15 years now, and when you've got that kind of little track record, obviously you've seen things change and things going on. And I asked her what changes she has already seen in her 15 years.
A lot of change. In the last 5 years, I think, a lot of change in Sagrantino, in the style of Sagrantino. When my first bottle comes out, I was a lot of critics about my wine because my Sagrantino was more light of the Sagrantino, probably more elegant. I didn't focus on the strongness of Sagrantino, but I focused on the freshness, on the fruity. I try to make it lighter, more drinkable. And at the beginning was not so easy for me because a person new in the territory that make new wine and change what Sagrantino was for the territory was not easy. But then in the last 5 years I saw a lot of change in the way in which winery makes Sagrantino and approach to the new wine.
So, Andre, Ilaria was really the tip of the spear as far as I could tell, and as they say, because a new generation was coming, and much was centered, as I said at the beginning, around women. So I asked Ilaria about her role in this youth movement.
I never expect to realize what I was doing. I just focused on doing. And then I saw that something was happening also in myself, that I wanted really to realize what I was doing, but I never think about myself, about something new, something that is going to change something. I was just doing something for me.
I think the thing about trailblazers is they never really know, what they've done until they've done it.
Yeah.
So,
when listening to those clips, like it was interesting to hear, because I think we're about to set the stage for an inspiring story. But you had some pretty inspiring like music in the background, and like, you know, one of the things I've been doing with a lot of the podcasts I've been working on is like the soundscaping and doing that. I don't think you could have picked a more appropriate music bed, Michael. What the hell was going on?
It was interesting. It was during a dinner, and I basically I took her to the furthest part of the tent where we could sit down, have a glass of wine, have a chat. And next thing you know, the acrobats started out in the middle of the field, and everybody for some reason just congregated around the tent instead of going closer to the acrobat. But I guess, you know, you don't go too close to them because, I don't know, you just don't. So, and then there was a fire show and everything. So there was lots going on at the time.
Yeah,
and,
no, it sounds like it was. Sounds like it was a neat event. I mean, with regard to everything that's being said, you know, I would love to taste the new style of wine, because it is, you know, one of the problems with Montefalco Sagrantino. It's the same issue I have with Abruzzo, with Montepulciano di Abruzzo. You know, that you have these people where the previous generation of winemakers, like I still remember being at the Anteprima for Abruzzo, just being like, okay, when is this wine going to be ready to drink? And them like proudly declaring, oh, 30 years, 40 years. It's just like, you know, I don't want to build a cellar I can't enjoy for 3 decades, you know? And, you know, it is interesting. I don't know. You can tell me, is this new style gearing towards more drinkability?
Well, the short answer is yes, but we had Valentino Valentini on the podcast, and we've had his wines before. And he is also fairly young, but you know what? I hate to say it. I was kind of focusing on women in this one. I was also focusing on a younger generation. Valentino is kind of in that younger generation category again, but we've had him on the podcast twice.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring other voices from Montefalco, and I am going again this year. So you know what? I'm going to bring you back some of the newer styles now that we're on that cusp of getting them.
There's a whole episode, and I think with you like kind of tempering what you just said, though, I still think it's you know, we're at a pivotal time, you know, where, you know, the industry is definitely more friendly to women. We're seeing a lot more women in prominent decision-making roles. We're seeing it in Ontario, but we're also, you know, dealing with a situation where, you know, it's still not equal or fair. There's still issues. There's still hushed conversations happening behind closed doors, and people unwilling to speak up. So making sure that we're elevating the voices of young women, like, I mean, it's important for so many reasons. And then even on the grander, more human scale, you know, we're dealing with an issue of succession in Ontario, where a lot of wineries, rather than being passed on to the next generation, are being sold. And, you know, that's kind of a crying shame for the longevity of the industry, where, you know, you spent time in Bordeaux, and there's a pride of succession for a lot of these places. But
and Italy as well. Everybody, you know, people come back. And that actually kind of leads us in right to our next couple of clips. I know it's not right to ask women their age. I do know that. So I tried to avoid it, but they were very proud to tell me.
If it's pertinent to the conversation, you get a pass, Michael. You weren't being rude. And then
I wanted to find out why they came back to their roots. So we've got a couple of clips here.
I'm 35. I was about to lie, but I'm not. I'm 37.
37, okay. So
we both came back.
Yeah, we came back.
I was in Milan, and I have worked for 5 years in a web marketing company in Milan. It was my dream, actually. But when my mother and my father told me that they want to leave the winery if we didn't go on with it, I understood that there was something that I cannot leave, because I think that there is a great potential in the Sagrantino, in our brand Rosso Bastardo, and that the real richness, I think that is the land and everything it could bring to us, also for the future. Our parents, they kind of try to push us out of the winery when we were young, because they lived one of the worst, period of age, how do you say? So they were not sure if we really wanted to go on with the winery, so they pushed us out of the winery, and both of us, we did something else.
I'm 27 right now.
So you are.
And I'm 25. I was away for 2 or 3 years studying. I studied languages in Bologna, always in Italy. But I always wish to come back, because I think these are my roots, and I want to be here also in the future.
And Zeke?
Well, for me, I've been back and forward, because I've been studying outside. I was in Milan first, then I came back to Tenuta di Saragano, then I spent my last 3 years in Bordeaux doing my studies for winery management and viticulture, and then I came back recently. I came back just 4 months ago, actually. I wrote my thesis, and now I'm back working for the winery. I wanted to come back prepared with more knowledge and know more skills. Maybe steal from the French.
I love hearing people talking about moving back to the farm, getting an education and moving back to the farm. Because, I don't know if maybe there's a generational shift starting to take place. I consider, Anya and I to be fairly textbook Torontonian millennials, right? And, I don't think I've ever said this on any of the podcasts that I've done. But when we moved to Hamilton from Toronto, it was hard at the beginning to not feel like a little bit of a failure, because I really relished living in the big city, and I wanted to make a go of it in the big city. And, moving out at first didn't feel like a win. But, once we got into Hamilton and the slower pace of life and being closer to the farms and closer to the vineyards and closer to the wine business, it felt good. And it's interesting to hear people go and get an education, because what happens when you get an education, you write your thesis for your master's or your doctorate, you don't tend to move back to the farm. You tend to move into the city to pursue the bigger paychecks, right?
I don't know. I think here in Canada, I think it's a little different, right? The goal is to get out of the big city, get out of the rat race, get a piece of land. You're not going to get a piece of land in Toronto. You're going to get a condo. You're going to be,
but that's one of the reasons why we left, right? And part of it was living in the city for the perceived lifestyle, and I mean, even just think of the pop culture that we consumed, stuff that would have been, generational for millennials in particular. Shows like Friends or How I Met Your Mother or Sex and the City. All three of those are set in New York.
Yes, in the big city. Yeah. But if you think about it, even the people we're talking to,
yeah,
they were in the big city. They did their studies, blah blah blah. Now they're coming back to the farm.
Yeah, I think it's something to be admired. And I'm wondering if it's going to be part of a bigger trend that you go to the city to get your education.
And it's something we just don't have in Ontario.
No, we don't.
When you go to wineries, I don't think anybody talks about their kids. When you go to a winery in Italy or France, they always tell you, "Oh, my son's taking over."
Oh, second shout out to Chateau La Rose in as many weeks in Saint-Emilion. We were taken for lunch the day we visited that winery, and he brought his 12 or 13-year-old son with him for us to have lunch together. And I joked to his son, when we were just chatting and eating, and obviously 13-year-old's not interested in talking to, a 30-year-old wine journalist, which is so you're going to take over the business from your dad? And he was just no, I want to be a psychologist.
Yeah, but I'll bet you he might do that, but he'll come back. Look, when we were talking to Selva Piana a few weeks ago,
yeah,
son came back to take over winemaking. So it's not, unfortunately it's not something that we have here in Ontario, but definitely in the old world, it's definitely there.
I think you have many opportunities in Umbria if you're able to catch them, because you can work with wine and it's a huge world, but you should be able to appreciate that. If you don't appreciate it, then it's wasted time, and you should go spend your time, in Milan or other parts of Italy.
Well, I feel what's special for the future is that slowly now in time we're just moving forward into having something that is more unique, that is not more basic anymore. And especially having a winery here in Umbria, and we are in the area of Montefalco, is that it's unique that we produce this grape variety called Sagrantino, of course, that it's completely different from anything else, So
we have to follow the tradition to be more innovative and to go in the direction of the new generation.
We are already the old generation. Not the young anymore, but
Well, you're young enough. Put it that way.
young enough. Hopefully we are the new generation.
Yes, you are.
And now it's changing, and I think it's changing because a lot of the people that are owner now of a lot of winery are younger than 5 or 6 years ago, and I think the young people are more collaborated person. They don't see in the other winery something to fight, but someone that can help. All together, we can do something more for the territory, for Montefalco, for Umbria.
So I may get slightly controversial here.
Since when has that ever stopped you?
But I mean, they're all talking about how special their winery, their territory, their grape is, and obviously it's a draw for the next generation. Maybe Ontario is not as special as we think it is.
Oh.
Maybe we're not as special. Maybe we're not as unique. For the most part, the next generation is not stepping up. You're not seeing, a lot of next generation opening wineries or coming in. And you know what? Or we've done a bad job in selling Ontario to the next generation.
Well,
and not just drinking it, but I'm talking about, getting out there and playing in the land.
I don't think that's a completely fair statement. I mean, the Ontario industry is quite young still. I think circumstantially, like the foundation of this interest is certainly not conducive to family-run, generationally owned wineries. Like what should be the crown jewel of Ontario in Enniskillen is a corporate-owned winery that the bulk of their revenue comes from making mass-produced bulk wine, largely from international grapes. It's not until recently that Arterra has really started to focus on their domestic industry. But when you take a look at who's working in their cellars, it's a lot of people who are worshiping the ground that people like Thomas and Levi are walking on. And I look at the people who are connected to the ADX Wine Company, and granted, we're not the young generation anymore, all hitting our 40s, but, shout out to my colleagues, Adam Kern, Vadim Chelikov, Chris Robinson, Yvonne Irvine over at Creekside. Like, there's a passionate lot of people that we would start our own wineries in a heartbeat, and that's why we're virtual. There's so many factors in Ontario, like those of us who really give a crap about it, we know it's special, but, the economy for agricultural real estate has been thrashed just as much as residential. And, I actually don't mind throwing Fred Couch under the bus on this podcast, because I remember seeing a few years ago him talking about how he sold his High Park area home for a few $1,000,000 and bought a townhome down in Niagara, and now he's complaining that another row of townhomes is being built behind him. Well, Fred, I'm sorry, you're part of the problem. The issue is agricultural land was never meant to be prime real estate. You should be able to buy some agricultural land to make a living off of it. When and if ADX does manage to purchase its 15 or 20 acres or whatever it is we hope to buy so that we can meet whatever arbitrary regulations are in place, I'm not going to see that money back. I'm going to have to get mortgaged to the tits with a bank to be able to do that. And it's not until hopefully Spencer wants to take the business over that we may be mortgage free. So it's not as complicated as passion. Like there's so many other factors at play here.
And maybe that is a big issue. And we'll get back to Montefalco in just a minute. But I mean, maybe that's a big problem in Ontario, is that we do have those restrictions with how much land you have to buy. So you have to have deep pockets. You have to be the Moritazes. You have to be the Two Sisters. You have to have, money to lose.
On top of the fact that the people who are really passionate about the special land and this being a special place, there's a struggle to buy fruit. Like it's February 10th, the day we're recording this, and we're already on the hunt to look for fruit for ADX because the big guys are snapping up every precious berry that they can get so they can blend it into Planck. And the reality is this provincial government is more interested in protecting the business from the ICB producers than they are in developing ultra premium VQA. And we've talked about like where wine trends are going and what we need to do. And this isn't just an Ontario thing. We've talked about this globally, is we need to develop that ultra premium market, but also make it accessible to wine drinkers.
It sounds like there's a podcast of it in itself where we can just rant back and forth about this crap.
I spend a lot of time thinking about this, and it's just like, I don't think you were being controversial, but you're not looking to buy a farm. And the thing is, I've talked to real estate agents, and I know what it costs to buy agricultural land. Like, I've looked at buying some of the wineries for sale. It is not an easy go. And here's the thing is, there are some amazing wineries with facilities ready to go that are shuttered right now, but they only have 5 acres or 6 acres or 7 acres. And to be able to do the Burgundy model, where I can get fruit from other estates and bring it there, you have to have a minimum acreage. It is nonsense, but you're right. That is a separate podcast for a separate time. Let's come back to Sagrantino, because it's frustrating me listening to all these young people speak with such hope and pride, and it doesn't sound like they have as many roadblocks to their dream that we do here.
Because they're the next generation. The family already owns the farm, and what makes it unique and different from what came before is what I really wanted to talk to these people about, and obviously the future of Sagrantino itself.
The future, I think, is hopefully would be more younger, probably more open to outside to the world. I think Sagrantino was always tell about it's a strange wine, it's really strong tannins and blah 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 blah. We thought that Sagrantino changed the world of wine. No, probably will never happen. But it's okay like this. It's just a part of a big territory, and we have just to tell and to tell our story.
The new
Tuscany.
Well, no, because I'm not a really big fan of Tuscany. When they say Umbria is something like Tuscany, but smaller. But I think we can be more, because people in Umbria are so welcoming and we are humble.
The new generations are more collaboratives. Okay. So I think that this is another strength point for our future.
Since the topic is young generation, I think young generations are doing a pretty nice job in
also communication,
cooperation, which we lost it generation before previous generation. I think they lost this kind of connection with each other, and I think we are building it together.
We talk about this every day. We have this discussion every day. I had this discussion literally last night with my dad, and Alex was present in that table, and we had this discussion. It's different points of view of Montefalco. Even last year's, I don't know, you were here as well during this dinner, and there was all of this misconception of understanding what will be the future of Sagrantino. Because when we talk about Montefalco, we talk about Sagrantino. So it's either we make it more approachable to everyone, to make it a more drinkable wine, or respect the roots, and respect what Sagrantino is about. It's all about. So I believe that the future of Sagrantino is just the understanding on how to understand how to dominate this grape and to really work with it, because the denomination of Sagrantino is not that old. For example, one of the most crucial things that, in my opinion, it should change is to give it more time. It's a slow wine, Sagrantino. It's a wine that needs patience, a lot of patience, and nothing else. And if you try to speed up the process, I don't think it will work out. It's a wine that needs really patience. It's a wine that needs 10 years if you want it to be drinkable and everything. That is the future for Sagrantino.
And so with that piece of advice, I want to turn our attention back to the wine that we have on our glass. It's been open for a bit. It's, you pointed out, 17 years old.
Yep.
And is he right? Did this wine need time?
Yes.
When I got this bottle, which was many years ago. I don't know who sent it to me, but I think it was a producer or an agent. So thank you very much. But I am not opening a bottle of Sagrantino in 2013. That's committing infanticide.
Yes.
So I put it in the cellar, and I thought, instead of opening 3 different wines from 3 different wineries to show you the new generation, let's look at the old generation first, and then in a future podcast we'll bring in some of that new generation wine.
It does lead me right to a conversation that I had with Pascal Marchand at his winery in Burgundy, where he was talking about working with the Côte d'Ivoire grapes in particular, that he's trying to make the wines more approachable from the onset. And I asked him if making that change in your winemaking is at the sacrifice of longevity in the cellar for people who do want to build that collection that'll last 20, 30, 40 years. He's not convinced that that compromise needs to be made. So I'm curious if this new generation, or because the word accessibility came up and drinkability came up like 3 times in that clip that we just rolled. And having a wine that takes 10 years, I have the patience for a 10-year wine. Like, I definitely have a bunch in my basement that are, and like I'm collecting Bordeaux, and thanks to your little trip last year, my life's a hell of a lot more expensive. But, the 10-year wines I have patience for. It's the 20-year wines, but also I don't mind pulling out the decanter. So if I open up a 10-year wine at 5 years, can I agitate it in a decanter enough to get it to open up and be delicious? Can I open that bottle of wine at 9 or 10 in the morning and have it ready to drink by dinner time? Like, those are questions.
So do you think this wine needs the decanter? I'm starting to think maybe we want to try to tame some of those tannins and see if that fruit sticks around. This is a very historical grape.
I understand.
And, historically, this has been the wines that people have been drinking.
Yeah, but I don't picture every farmhouse in Umbria having a cellar of 30 to 40-year-old bottles, because rolling over that cellar...
Well, that's what Rosso is for, right? Rosso is just the straight entry-level red wine, so everybody drinks that. But I would... And in Sagrantino, you're making, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 bottles of that wine. And, so it is also a rare wine.
Okay.
In that way.
Okay, so these are special occasion wines.
Correct.
Okay.
But they're special occasions down the road wine.
Gotcha.
So, on that note, I'm going to give the last word to my good friend Zeke.
Who?
So, the guy from Sagrantino, I could never pronounce his name. And he would say it over and over to me, and I still can't do it. So, I don't know if you heard earlier, if you want to back up the podcast, I called him Zeke, and he started laughing. But I can't pronounce his name.
Let's see. Is it
Here,
Guglielmo?
Look, take a look. Go
Guglielmo?
Go ahead. Try it.
I'm trying, but can you correct me?
No, I can't, because he says it so fast that I never was able to catch it.
Guglielmo.
Somebody, send us a voice message on Instagram or Facebook or something and tell us how that pronounced. Zeke, if you're listening, and I know you are, you know what? Say it really slow for me, and then I'll try. Anyway, I'm going to give Zeke this last word.
We can work out with in the future, maybe with some new technologies. To going back to what we said before, to make it maybe a bit more approachable. You can work out, with maybe a method of micro-oxygenation to make it a bit more softer. Or I don't know. You can work out with a lot of things, but the most important thing is for us, especially, that we produce very limited bottles of pure 100% Sagrantino that come from one vineyard, because we only have one vineyard that we choose for our Sagrantino 100%, and they're 50-year-old vineyards. We only produce around, from 2,000 to 3,000 bottles every year. It depends on the year, and we want to make those, let's say in general, 2,500 bottles every year, the most traditional way as possible. How a Sagrantino should be. Then we have the Rosso di Montefalco, we have the Riserva, we have our GT. We can play around with other, but the Sagrantino has to be Sagrantino. People come here to drink Sagrantino. If they want to go somewhere else to drink, I don't know, maybe another type of wine or whatever, they go somewhere else. But people come here for Sagrantino.
Guglielmo.
So, Andre, you've done a little looking it up, and
I was pretty close. So, it according to Google, Guglielmo is pronounced exactly like I said it. Guglielmo.
All right. Well, okay. Again, I'll see him this year. I'll try to get him on tape saying it really, really slow. Andre, that completes our trip to Montefalco. It's usually an annual thing. That's it.
This is annoying because, okay, so you've brought this. Let me just set the table before we wrap up here. You've brought this old school Sagrantino here, which is very lovely. I'm enjoying it a lot. We're doing some good old Protestant cooking for dinner tonight, some meatballs and mushroom gravy. I think even with the tannin, the fruit's got some nice intensity, good acid should go fine with that, and some green peas. But now you've teased me. You've talked to all these young people making this new style of Sagrantino that have talked about their respect for the old way of making Sagrantino, and now I don't know what. I just want to taste these wines, and you've brought me nothing.
Well, I'll tell you, the newer wines are going to have less oak. That's really what we're going to see, right? And that's what we've talked about.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, it's a shocker, right? Anyway, I'd like to thank Tenuta Serragano, that's Letizia and Zeke, or Guglielmo. Thank you. Sartori Cesarini, which was Alicia and Chiara. And, of course, the trailblazer herself, Ilaria Coco of Coco Montefalco. All three wineries make great stuff. Search them out if you can. It's worth getting. Thank you to Tenuta del Cerro, who sent me this bottle so many years ago, and I tucked it away, and now we get to have it maybe in its prime, maybe on, well, I guess we have to decide over the course of the evening. And finally, to those who want to hear these full interviews, they are available behind the paywall on Patreon. And these conversations are great. There's 3 of them. They're at least 20 minutes long each. Each one of them gets into their winery, the wines, what Sagrantino means to them. There's some great insight, this younger generation. I'm looking forward to seeing them again this year. Andre, you are?
Andre Prue of AndreWineReview.ca. At Andre Wine Review on social medias, and you are.
You have any last words before I say who I am?
Patreon.com/Two Guys Talking Wine.
I'm Michael Pinkus of MichaelPinkusWineReview.com. The great guy on many of the social media channels. Andre, cheers, and good night.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Two Guys Talking Wine on iTunes.
Two Guys Talking Wine is produced by Adam Duran and Ken Little.